Welcome to the World Mixed Double Curling Championships of 2013, coming to you live from Canada. We're in cold and snowy Fredericton, New Brunswick. My name is Sarah Carlson, and the buff guy sitting next to me is Dean Gemmell.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Glad to be here.
Our featured game today is between Sweden and Scotland, both with 2 wins and really good statistics so far. Mixed doubles has 27 teams divided into 3 groups, and here you see the standings in Group C with Scotland, Sweden and Norway tied at 3 wins. See the bottom half of the group right there.
So it's a battle of,
sorry?
It's a battle of the unbeatens here today.
Yeah, definitely. Sweden beat both Finland and Estonia, and we see their lineup here: Fredrik Hallström and Elisabeth Norredal. Their coach is Per Norén, who actually got the silver last year.
And the Scots have Bruce Mallett and Gina Aiken with their coach David Aiken, who's not in the seniors, although there is an Aiken in the seniors for Scotland as well. He made sure I corrected myself on that. Mixed doubles is a little different than traditional curling, of course. Instead of playing in teams of 4, teams have 2 players, 1 male and 1 female. The game is played on the same sheet of ice as traditional curling. And as we're underway here with Sweden's first shot, teams have 6 stones each, but one is positioned for each team, with the team with last rock putting theirs in the back of the button, the team without last rock having a centerline guard. The 2 players can swap positions, but one player throws 1 and 5 and the other player throws 2, 3, 4. Sweeping can be done by both team members.
So very typical opening here. Sweden tried to come in and freeze the first stone. They will not really get the curl that they wanted, so Scotland can follow here, and some Scottish nail polish there.
And games in mixed doubles are also 8 ends versus 10. It's youth versus experience today, isn't it?
Yeah, the Scottish team did say that they were just going to use their youth and hopefully extra energy to bring down the Swedes, who of course are more than 20 years older.
I'm sure they'll appreciate you noting that. But the Scottish team is very young. They're junior part. They curl in the junior program at their home club.
Yeah, but they seem to have a talent for mixed doubles. They qualified out of 20 teams in Scotland, and apparently they have known each other and curled together since they were very little.
They say they have more than 80 junior curlers at their club in Edinburgh.
So male player for Sweden, Fredrik Hallström, normally coaches the Swedish women's team of Margareta Sigfridsson. These 2 players were also in the European mixed and picked up a silver in September.
Now, you competed in the Swedish mixed doubles playdown, Sarah. Did you play this team?
No, I didn't. We lost before we had the chance.
That was after you sped out to a 5-0 start and then lost.
Well, yes. They did, though, play Sabina and Sebastian Kraup in the quarterfinals, beat them to move on to the semis. And then they actually lost the finals against Oscar Eriksson and Anna Hasselborg, but they were not able to go, and that's why we're seeing them here.
Sebastian Kraup, of course, plays 3rd for world champion Nicholas Edin. Newly crowned world champion Nicholas Edin. Gina Aiken with a rock on the way.
It's setting up really nicely for Scotland here. 2 stones in the center line, buried, and they can even use this Swedish one to roll another one in here. Remember, they do have hammer.
The Scottish team using a little bit of a different lineup than we've seen with most of the teams, with the male player throwing 1 and 5, and Gina, the female player, throwing 2, 3, 4. She's the burger in this game.
That, of course, meaning that
he's the bun.
Bruce would be the bun.
Right.
Do you think that's catching on?
Not at all. It's not catching on at all. Just with me, but with no one else. So we'll have to work on something else. We're still looking for suggestions beyond 1 and 5 and 2, 3, 4.
Well, as always, you can post your suggestions and questions on Twitter using hashtag WMDCC2013. Some big weight here from Fredrik Hallström, trying to remove the yellows.
So rock on its own, the big weight. Most teams not electing to chase those. Nice shot to remove 2.
Yeah, and spill the third one out in the open. Behind the tee line now. Of course, that's another rule of mixed doubles curling. You're not allowed to hit until the 4th stone in each end, which of course makes it very aggressive at times.
Yes, you're not allowed to remove any stone from play, even one that's in the rings. Unlike in traditional curling, there's no free guard zone. You just We spoke to this young Scottish team before. They haven't actually played a lot of mixed doubles outside of the playdowns, but they like the format. And they think it's a good one for players in their junior program. Good way for players in their junior program to get more experience.
Yep, hard for line.
On Twitter,
or trying to make the double even though they risk the jam. So going for the double, just thinking if they get if they stick there, it might be worth leaving a jam, or they're hoping for it to spill out anyway.
Happy to have you along here, Sarah, so we can understand what the team is saying.
Well, this should be a little bit easier than you and me both trying to speak Estonian.
Yeah, or Dutch. Neither one was really working that well for me. It doesn't look like, you may not like it in the hack all of a sudden, judging from that look.
Pretty flat. Yep, change your mind. Just going to play the draw and freeze instead.
Playing the intern draw. This is the first rock on this side of the sheet, I think, right?
Yeah, well, they did practice, and it seems like they found a really good line here.
Actually going to almost end up right in the hole, but young Bruce Mallett thinks they can move it and sit there.
I'll go 90. Back 4.
Yeah, well, back 4 weight, and Sweden weren't that close to the guard, so they could probably come up and tap this.
Early on, this young Scottish team seems to be playing with a fair amount of confidence.
In the first 2 games, they were expecting a bit tougher.
Those are really good numbers for this format. This one maybe doesn't look so good, though.
No, it's possibly just a bit too much weight there from Aitken.
I think I'd like to be second shot here, though. Well, I think mixed doubles is more difficult to score, to have a high percentage. You don't have 2 sweepers. You don't have that sort of communications. You have to guess probably a little bit more on ice at times because you're both reading ice. So there's some variables that make it a different game. Speaking to some of the players before, the ones that seem to be excelling at it just accept that it's a different game and play it as such. Just like in traditional curling, naturally enough. That's quite a revelation, isn't it, Sarah?
Yeah, definitely, and because you don't have the sweeper, it's really important to be at least on the right side if you're not going to be absolutely perfect. So important for Elisabeth Nordahl here to get buried. She definitely doesn't want to leave a double, because that could mean a huge score of 4 for Scotland. And this one's really heavy, so really up to Frederick now to do something good with this. We'll leave them sitting 2.
It's like young Bruce likes the double, likes the slash double, I think.
Really skinny.
Try and tap that back.
Appears that Gina Aiken has convinced him to play the tap back. I think Bruce skips his junior team in Scotland. Unlike his junior team, he has to go get his own rock out of the corner. I'm sure his junior team sets it up for him. Such a luxury that you don't have in mixed ups. That's worth a couple points off your shooting percentage.
Having to bring out your own stone?
Yeah, it's a real burden for some of these skips that are used to having it set up for them. On its way.
So maybe it's really good for some skips to come and do this, then they'll make sure that they're modest when they come back to their team.
Exactly. Spoken like a couple of front end players here.
So here's the last stone of the first end. Scotland needs a good little tap back here and sit on the button if they want to score one.
This rock has to move too, much like Gina's.
Two red.
So a steal of 2 for Sweden in the first end. And
do you know
Swedish
half of that
fans
contingent?
are really, really excited about the score.
They are ecstatic. Oh, there's some flag waving. Bring it, you Swedes. Come on.
Well, the Canadian coffee isn't strong enough, so maybe they haven't really woken up yet.
They are brewing a special pot for you, Sarah, a special pot of Swedish strength coffee down in the lower level.
I know, I just heard. I might need to run down there in the break.
No problem.
So here you see the setup. It will now be, it'll be Scotland with hammer again. So Swedes will start with 1 stone just back of the buttons. Scotland will have the centre guard.
I wonder if this Scottish team, I'm not sure, I haven't seen enough of their other games to know if they've changed their rotation at all, or if they stick with Bruce Mallett in the 1-5 and Gina Aiken in the 2-3-4. I wonder if they're one of the teams that might switch it. Maybe we'll see that throughout the game if they do. So far we haven't seen a lot of that, have we? We haven't seen teams changing their order.
No, we haven't.
And
so, like the Swedes were saying before the game, they wanted to play it aggressive, but they said it's really all about the first shots and about if you make this first one really perfect, then it makes the end a lot easier. Otherwise, you're going to be struggling from the start, so they're just going to put a lot of focus in making their first ones.
yeah, the first shot, of course, as we know when you watch enough of this, is critical. It's not a bad play there, but it certainly does give Scotland now an opportunity to widen the scoring area if they can get some move that red or move the guard.
Also not touching this at all.
Backed right off it. And I don't think he's going to get to the red. Not even tickle it. Really big weight there. A missed opportunity because of I'm not so sure they might not have looked at that with the out turn. Try to move the red a little bit.
So discussion here, because you're not allowed to hit. Question is, are you allowed to take your own stone out?
I believe that's okay.
We're still going to hear the umpire here.
This stone came out from my stone, my own stone. So same color. So does it get replaced or that way? Okay. Per, vi vill ha tillbaka 10
Really?
sekunder eller någonting. Minst. It's about there, yeah. Jag tror vi hade 18, men jag är inte säker.
Och den där var lite längre hit.
See, we're all learning as we go, I guess.
Definitely a fairly new format of curling, and we learn every day.
Thank you.
I think that's actually
We want some time back.
an advantage to the Scottish team, but
Dra en till då.
it'll be
Yes.
I'm going to consult some things.
Well, you go consulting, and we'll have a look.
One thing somebody
On
did ask me
Fredericton.
somebody did ask me on Twitter how the last rock is decided in the first and last stone hammer. Just like in traditional curling, it's a draw to the button.
Skaplig fart.
Den är långt ute.
So Swedes now want to keep
Kom i tid.
control of this house. This needs to be in front of the tee line.
Jättehårt nu.
Buried.
Gör det jättehårt nu.
Really, really swinging here.
Nej.
This is the one top 8 is great.
Check it.
They're going to go a little deeper than that. Pretty nice shot.
Yeah, really nice. Still Scotland with hammer, but Swedes are starting to clog up their forefoot here.
Okay, well, do you want to do that?
I like the run here. You know, I think the run is your chance to open it up, and
It's about 3-1, I think. 3-1.
even if you moved everything to the back and move the guard,
You just open everything up, give yourself a chance to score with your last.
instead they're trying a freeze here on a rock that's tucked in behind. You're trying to angle freeze on one that's you can't really see from the hack.
It could come down on the other side too. Those stones are a little bit open, and freeze or tap from that side would maybe be easier.
Yep.
Gina Aiken, one of those players who throws with the mitt on the broom and then puts the mitt back on. Serena is a little cool, so if you need a mitt, you probably got to stick with it, I guess, right? Rather than just go without it.
Yep. Yep. Whoa, no. Whoa, 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 whoa. No.
Chapping off here.
Yeah, so hit and roll available for Sweden now to actually make it quite difficult for the Scots.
The bounce here is just as penal as it is in traditional curling, and that's a bad bounce there, not the bounce you want. It was a tough shot, though. I mean, it was just that's a tough shot to make.
Yeah, it's a tough shot to make, and it's quite, it's a big punish if you don't make it. If you would have ran the guard like Dean was talking about, and even if you don't make it perfect, you'll still open it up, and Sweden's going to have to replace a perfect guard. Now they're hitting to sit 3.
And guards on ice that's moving this much with just one sweeper aren't really easy. Trying to guard a single rock is not going to be easy. And now the Scottish team has all kinds of trouble. Now they're going to play the run, perhaps one shot too late.
Yeah, well, when you only have 5 stones to play, if you need to open up, you're going to need to open up quite early, because there are not many stones to come.
That's an excellent point, because you don't have much time to rearrange houses. So probably the time to play a run is that first hit you can actually throw.
Yeah.
So early in the game, it's veteran savvy that's winning out.
I like to think it's more of a Swedish thing than an age thing.
Oh, sure.
I'm
Sure
not
you
sure
would.
about you.
Yeah, well, I'm neither Scottish nor Swedish, so.
So need to remove some granite here, Gina Aitken.
Yep.
It's fairly open with this outturn, more open than I imagined, actually. She must be tight on the guard.
That's fine.
Ja.
And still. Can't guard everything here. So the Scottish team will have something to hit.
Fredrik Hallström aiming for center line, quite close to the house here.
So since you're from Sweden, did Fredrik play men's curling much in the past?
He did. He's got quite a long resume, and he's been at European Championships, and now very, very successful coach.
Right. He coaches your rivals, I guess, doesn't he?
Well, yes.
Pretty good shot there. The tight guard actually takes away quite a bit, although she can run it into the pile and should be able to get rid of at least two and hopefully rearrange it a bit.
Yeah, still it is a red stone that you're running in there, so Sweden's probably going to have something to guard with their last.
Yep. Whoa, no. Whoa. Whoa.
It's got some curling to do to catch something.
We'll get rid of one.
So one shot to come for Sweden and one for Scotland. Looks as though Sweden's going to play the freeze right in the pocket there. That sounded like light is okay.
Yeah, we want to be here, but this is okay too.
Short is okay.
Yep.
You'd probably say that on just about every shot in mixed doubles, and that short is okay.
Well, you definitely, pretty much all the way through, you want to leave yourself with stones that you can use.
Some steely focus here in the hack. Have you heard Elizabeth called steely before?
No, I don't even know what that word means, Dean.
Very focused. Determined. A little solid. So they're going to leave Bruce Mount a chance to score one. Which, considering how this end was shaping up, they probably should feel pretty good about.
Yeah, so even a triple on for two.
He's looking at that.
Might be difficult, but it's possible.
Yeah, it is there. I don't think he can really hurt himself either. If he hits it too thick, he's should score one.
Yep, peel weight coming up.
Checking to make sure they're actually lying three, and he doesn't need just the double. Tough triple, but let's see what he does. Oh, may not have been there, but he gets the one. Well thrown rock. These young kids, they chase their own rocks. Even peels, they're after them. It's exciting. Maybe that's the way it has to be. I know, talking to Jim Waite in the past, he said that sweeping is essential in this sport, and even if you can get there a few seconds earlier than someone else might, it could make a big difference.
Well, definitely. You sweep pretty much all of your stones in regular curling to make a difference, so why wouldn't you in this mixed doubles format as well? Here you see coaches really, really close to the players. Panarin thought it was good. He felt close, but he was struggling to see the other end of the sheet.
Oh, is that what he mentioned to you?
Yes.
They're about as close as you'll ever see at a World Curling Federation event, actually.
So we do have a couple of other games going on here in the Grant Harvey Centre, as we also take a look at the stats for Bruce Moet so far in the tournament. He's been really, really solid.
Yeah, 88%. Great numbers.
Definitely. But we can tell you that Netherlands are playing Latvia. They took 4 in the first end and then gave 2 back, so up 2 points there. Slovakia is 3 points up on Estonia, who's yet to score in that game. Finally, England is playing Norway, and they're leading 2-1.
So Bruce Mouat's first is certainly a good shot. Maybe not perfect, but close. Elizabeth Nordell's got has her shot on the way.
I'd like to get a little angle freeze on this to set up something useful. Taps it out of the 4 foot, now sitting 2.
Again, a chance to open up the scoring area, which we continue to think is something that can make a big difference in this format.
I think it's about 3:05.
Bruce saying 3:05 is a split time. I'm going to guess that they're using T-line to hog.
Yes.
Versus back line to hog, which is what we often hear for people who use those kind of splits.
Question is, when do you actually have time to time the stones here in mixed doubles?
I think what they're doing is the person in the rings is timing, right? Looks like Bruce has a watch, so he's timing from T-line to hog.
Solid numbers for Gina Aitken as well at 76% so far.
Same track they were on in the first end, and it looks like they're a little full again and a little heavy again. Gina is. Actually sort of mirrors some of the ones they threw in end number 1. So maybe these young kids are just a little pumped up right now.
Well, they said they had never been in a TV game before.
So we're making them nervous, you think?
I think you're making them nervous. I was really friendly.
I was extremely friendly to these young kids.
No, it's you know, it's really, really fast ice, and sometimes when you get on this championship ice, you slide out and you feel like, you know, you slide forever, and you still see your stone go straight through the house. But chance to apply some real pressure here for Sweden. They now do have hammer and looking to lock another one on here. Once again, short is fine.
Sweeping a bit for line now. The line's getting better. Weight looks a little heavy.
All the way down there, Frederick says.
It's close though. Gina Aiken's going to want to move these. It sounds like they're going to throw back 4.
Yeah, back 4, back ring, so just about the same or a little bit less than she just threw.
Still a bit less than last time.
You're on the same page as Bruce.
Yeah, Bruce is an ice maker back in Edinburgh. You should know all about the different conditions.
He should. Merrifield Curling is where he is. Merrifield, yes. Merrifield Curling is where he is the ice technician, or is his employer. He chuckled just slightly when I asked him if he was an ice technician, so I'm not. He may not be the head ice technician, since he is 18.
Well, it
Better
would be
line.
a very good way to learn if you want to become a good curler.
This intern has really vexed this young Scottish team, though. They've been mainly wide with it, I think, and in that time, but maybe took a little less ice or a little soft with it on the release, and it's curled up and crashed.
So
Sweden with an opportunity to really apply some pressure.
I actually wanting to come down and freeze this a little bit on the left side, the highest red, to make sure that if Scotland blasts, they will stick on the yellow. But quite a tricky shot. You don't want to leave them an opportunity of removing a bundle. So he also said it would be okay to be short and play a guard.
He was a little bit short and showed them half of the high red. Would be a pretty good shot. Or cover it completely, I guess. Probably be a little better. I'm sure we'll see Scotland running something in, but again, they're running red into red, just as they were in the last, and in this end, they don't have the advantage of last stone. So he's not heavy. Can you translate that sweeping call for me, Sarah?
Well, it's your typical better not at all call. And it means sweep, 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 and then it means that's enough.
There you go. I know that now.
I'm not sure where you want to hit it though.
Okay, calm. I just want to hit the number 3.
We should do that.
So he's covered about half of the high red in the top 4.
And that just jams right there. Still behind the guard and line 3.
If I just rip this off, it does nothing.
Try and go for that.
Yeah.
So they've settled on the running their yellow into this pile. They have to just get by the red that was just thrown by Frederick Hallstrom. So they have to just get by that red to get into the pile.
Well, even if they won't get by the red, they might just open up both guards, which might leave them some sort of shot with their last.
So there's not a lot of rocks left to come here. It's better. Better for Scotland than it was.
Yeah, maybe now they can, you know, freeze with their last, depending on what Sweden does.
Yeah, I get a little mistake here from Sweden, and they should have a chance to freeze and get out of this.
Frederick looking to find the forfeit here.
He's also looking steely, Sarah.
Well, that is the new word for today. It means very focused, if you are wondering out there.
Now that you know that. I think his weight is all there. There's an early call for line. I don't think this is light.
I would really like to stay in front of the tee line.
And there's an opportunity. There's the opportunity for Bruce Mallett to get out of this.
No, not hit it. Draw to it.
He's going to play the in-turn. Would you consider this the out-turn there, Sarah? Doesn't it seem like it's more natural with the out-turn?
It does. And you don't have, you know, that little gap.
He's not negotiating a pretty
No,
small
well,
port.
They have been playing the in-turn for the entire end, so maybe just feel like they know exactly what this is going to do.
I think I would, yeah, I can understand that. I think I might have wanted to follow Frederick Hallstrom's rock right down there, though. He just threw it, the out-turn. Big shot here. It's not a small port to get through. It's certainly substantial enough, and he might like where he ends up better with the in-turn, I guess. He's got some curling to do. Weight's close. He likes the weight. I think he's got to finish again, though. This is, again, this in-turn where they haven't had good finish.
Curl.
That's a good result right there, though.
Yep.
I think they are even setting one.
I think they are, and it may be tough to move it to really a very good shot by Bruce Mallett. I think all Sweden has left is a draw for one.
Yeah, they are looking at running that red guard down.
Möjligen för 2 här, men då måste vi chansa gå jävligt nära garden.
Bra få då.
Dragningen för en här är ju ganska lätt.
Ja. Risken är väl ändå bara att den går bara, att det inte händer så mycket
Alltså
ändå.
träffar du här. Sätter ner den där så, då har du ju ändå då har du chans på 3. Tycker du det är så? Jag tror det är svårt att göra någonting på den här sidan. Har du någon luft eller har du inte?
Nej, det har jag inte.
With the score 2-1, they could certainly entertain the idea of that run. Make the run back, possibly score 2. If they don't make it, they're only giving up 1.
Jag tycker du, spela ner den där.
Yep, it's the call.
Normal.
Ja, lite hårdare bara.
Just going to play a little bit more than normal here, maybe hoping to stick that one that they run down. Possible score of 3.
Yeah, I mean, if they hit 3/4 of that yellow rock with the one they run in, should spill out. I like this call, 2-1 in the game. Giving up a steal of 1 here isn't a really big deal, and if you could score 2 or 3, put yourself in a great position.
Yeah, last zone of the third end, run back for Sweden, possible score of 2 or 3 here, just over curling. Oh, but
wow.
Jävligt bra spelat.
Just over curling a hair. She called for sweeping, but
there was no one there.
no one there. Frederick had not arrived.
Mixed curling for you, mixed doubles curling. Scream and scream, but no sweepers.
You stay a little bit high side on that, but well, an end that looked like it could have been dicey for Scotland, giving up a big number. Saved
Yeah,
with
they
a
were
great
in
freeze.
trouble in both ends, 2 and 3, but there you see it, score is 2 each.
Have you played a fair bit against Elizabeth?
I have. She was in the Swedish league for a couple of years when I started in the league. Really, really friendly player. They had quite a good team, but, you know, definitely taught us a thing or two, like during and after the games, and always fun to play them.
Now, when you say the Swedish league, what to someone not in Sweden, what is the Swedish league?
Well, we have like the Super League, both for men and women. So women's are 8 teams competing for a spot in the national squad. Of course, led by Peja Lindholm.
So the league results are decide who the national squad is.
Yep, exactly.
Bruce Mountain moving the one off the back of the button.
Ja. Ja, nej, bara fart.
And Sweden looking to freeze this.
Ja. Hela vägen nu. Wow. Wow. Ja. Kör. Kör. Kom igen, kom igen. Räcker. Bra spel. Det är Sandebettan.
She's been really good at those. Always comes with a little tap, but quite often has good line on them.
Yeah, and when they've had last rock, it has opened up the scoring area for them and put this young Scottish team in trouble just about every end.
Yep, now you're facing 2 and freezing 1 in front of the tee line rather than behind the tee line.
Quite keen.
So important freeze for Gina Aitken here.
Wait only.
Need to be on top of the red. Cannot afford to bounce out.
Sounds as though she might have been a little full to the broom.
Right off.
Maybe perhaps a little bit heavy.
Yep. Point!
Try to move that and create a little separation.
Vem är skott?
Looks like it might be second shot, I think. Tough to tell from here.
Vi eller?
Vi.
Frys deras den här vägen. Nej, den vägen.
Vad tror du, så här eller?
Well, looking at the angle, freeze on the outturn side here.
I didn't entertain the idea of trying to move that yellow.
I
Might
guess
be able to do with the intern.
yeah, but then Scotland could probably come down and freeze right on the lid.
Långt ute. Kom fint nu. Kom jättebra. Ja! Ja!
Somebody this rock really moving. Might have picked.
Okay.
I think Frederick thought it was just a little bit soft on weight.
Really moved. That was out there quite a bit. Weight was close. Catching his breath.
Well, he's the coach, he's not used to sweeping.
Catching his breath, wishing he was 18. I know what that feels like. Young Bruce Mount barely breathing hard at all.
Well, they said that that was going to be their advantage. Not afraid of the Swedish experience. They were just going to bring some young energy to the game.
Let's see if that serves them well in the latter ends.
Yep.
This is a game that does place some premium on fitness.
Weight's up.
A lot of movement up and down the sheet. It's a game that moves along fairly quickly.
Well, you are the expert on curling fitness,
Oh,
Dean.
I
What
don't
do
know.
you think the difference is between mixed doubles and normal curling when it comes to that?
Well, I think if you're used to playing front end in traditional curling on an elite team, that's demanding. But I think what happens in mixed doubles is the game moves along so briskly, and there's a lot of movement up and down the sheet that you really never have a chance to sort of gather yourself. So, you do end up. I do think that's when fitness matters here. You actually sweep fewer stones, of course, but there's a lot of movement up and down and chasing your own rock, and I think all that does put a real premium on being fit.
Ja, ta lite till då.
Du kan spela dina hårdare då.
Ja, jag vill gärna bli kvar där.
So would really like to stick this. Fredrik Hallström is just going to play down the red onto the yellow.
Ja! Nej!
Really a big shot if he makes this. It's close. Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, now sitting 3.
Bra, skippat.
And Scotland might need to come down with the intern freeze here.
Guess there is would be a double there available, I imagine. But it may be time to start bailing with a couple of freezes.
Svårt för dem att få bort med en om de tejpar. Inte så omöjligt.
This young Scottish team has been in trouble just about every end, but they have remained cool throughout. It's not exactly as if they've been playing poorly either. They've just been missing sort of the wrong way to this point, but they're maintaining their composure and they're tied up.
Yeah, as long as you make sure that you get one really good one in there, you could keep your opponents in trouble.
And you can take away an end, as we can see here. If Gina Aiken can make a good freeze, take away the end.
Problem though, if she makes a perfect freeze here though, can Sweden just run down the red top forefoot?
Yeah, another angle run in, similar to what they just played.
Really important shot here for Gina Aitken.
Kom med Bettan.
Judging from the line, I think it's a little bit heavy.
Yep.
Seems like it's coming down.
Right here.
Close.
Låt den styra på våran första.
Can't bounce off. Not a bad result.
No, they are short stone.
Det måste kunna gå och...
It'll certainly be moved a couple of different ways, though.
Vi ska ju försöka bara komma ner och
Let's listen.
trycka bort den här lite grann.
Ja.
Men han
Men lite
kommer kunna
insida, va?
frysa på. Eller hur? Han kommer ju frysa på en. Så frågan när vi ska lägga den... Ja, jag drar dit en sten bara.
So they want to
That
freeze
Swedish
and maybe.
humor?
Yeah, don't you get it?
You're laughing, yes. So explain what they said.
Well, he said that they wanted to come down and tap this back a little bit and maybe freeze. But then Frederick thought that Scotland would be able to freeze one right back. They thought about it for a little while, and then the conclusion was, I'll just play a stone in there.
That
That's when I laughed.
that is good Swedish humor.
It's the best we got for you.
In your long line of great Swedish comedians.
Ja, ner emot.
We have a couple of
You're
good ones,
quite funny,
actually.
Sarah. I will, I'll concede that.
Well, being funny and having a good sense of humor isn't always the same thing. Either way, Fredrik Hallström needs to play a good shot here.
Lite.
Seems to have quite good line.
This might be really good.
Jaha, ska jag sopa den lite?
Oh, the angle's set up pretty nicely. If young Bruce Mowat doesn't weld one in there, that angle run on the red would be for a mittful, wouldn't it?
Yeah, we'd probably use a loose, maybe a yellow or a red or two, but certainly looks very useful. Well, the yellow might catch on, but should be for at least 2.
Yeah, 2, possibly 3. I guess not the mittful I might have imagined at first.
But some space for Bruce to try and close that red shot stone in.
Bit more.
This will test the young Scottish player because this is a shot that can't look particularly appealing in the hack. Although, in the end of the day, it's a come around.
Yeah, this is where it's good that he is skipping his team normally, so he probably knows that all he needs to do is aim for the broom and have the right weight, not really thinking about the consequences that could be if he misses.
Look down a wee bit. We only line back.
Call was outside just a wee bit. Mowat hit it pretty hard, and his weight is, well,
Maybe it took away the chance for 3, but Sweden could definitely draw for 2.
yeah, good enough to limit the damage to
Ja, det vill bara dra hit.
limit the possibility of 3, but a 2 is certainly readily available. This is an example of a shot like that, though, where he's close. He was close with it and took away the chance for a big end.
Yeah, and this last stone, even though it looks quite straightforward, just follow the yellow one down. It certainly needs to be made, and she needs a part of the button. Last stone of the 4th end, draw for 2 for Sweden
Måste
to
kalla. Helt
get a
klart.
2-point lead. They are sitting 1 at the
Stenhård,
moment.
va?
I don't think she's light here.
Alltså,
No. Once again, Scotland out of trouble.
I may have thought she could play to that backing a little bit more than she
one red.
should have. Yeah, Scotland clinging a little bit here, but making the right shots at the right time. And not letting this game get away from them when it could have.
Yep, there you see standings after first half of the game. Sweden 3, Scotland 2. Players will have a short break, so will we, but we'll be back in a few minutes with highlights from the first half of the game.
So at the end of the midway point of our game between Scotland and Sweden, let's look at the highlights from the first 4 ends. End number 1, Bruce Mallett facing 2 with his last. An intern that backs them all game, left it out a little bit, chopped off, steal of 2 for Sweden to start the game.
Two reds.
Two red.
Bra Bettan.
The Swedish contingent is excited, as Sarah Carlson noted. Second end we go to Bruce Mallett again. They face trouble all in the Scottish team, trying a triple, and makes essentially the double to score 1. 2-1 Sweden after 2 ends. The third end, Sweden trying an angle run with their last. Over curled a little bit. It was a steal of 1 for Scotland. In the fourth end, Sweden trying a draw for 2. But Elizabeth Nordahl was a little bit heavy, and it was 1 for Scotland with a mess of rocks in the forefoot. Back to live action. You see Elizabeth Nordahl's tournament accuracy, 73% through the game she's played so far. Like we noted earlier, that's a good percentage in mixed doubles. You have to expect to not make quite as many shots without 2 sweepers and the communications you get in traditional curling. 73% good numbers.
Yeah, she's been really good at making these first tap picks. The Swedes are not really freezing. They're rather actually tapping back the stone and back button, which is okay if you get a good line and come down to the center of it. It means that you will sit right there rather than rolling out.
Although if we were coaching the Scottish team, Sarah, we might suggest that they play a tick on this one, right? If the Sweden kept doing this. Try to open up that scoring area.
Exactly. Would you care to explain the tick shot and points of playing it?
Yeah, we start. If you look at the red center guard, when the freeze isn't made perfect, Sarah and I are exploring the strategic option of moving that red guard over and opening up the scoring area. Right now, the scoring area is opened up by moving the red. When you have last rock, we're starting to think that a real important thing would be to get the scoring out of the forefoot, try to open up the area beyond that. I think it could lead to some relatively straightforward 2s and maybe 3s. I think you might be able to get some easy deuces when you have last rock.
Yeah, that would actually make the game a bit more like normal curling or a regular curling game, where you see a lot of like corner guards and plays out to the sides of the house when you have hammer.
Yeah, I think we'll see if anybody explores that this week. So far, not at all. We haven't really tried to sell that strategy down before games, though, have we, Sarah? We'll have to start
it's
doing
selling
that.
just about as well as your burger and bun theory.
Yes, which hasn't taken off at all. Greg Drummond from Team Scotland on Twitter said my Scottish accent is improving but needs a bit of work, and said my take on Merrifield was not very good. So sorry about that, Greg. I'm sure your American accent needs work as well. Murrayfield, there we go. See, Murrayfield. Yes, I'm getting it. So it would help if it was spelled in a way that made sense to me. So, but I've got it now.
And Sweden coming down just a bit deep with Frederic's stone back of the tee line, so chance for Gina Atkin here to come down with a good one. But here we go, even if she makes this perfect, gets the freeze down there, the scoring area is pretty much locked up. And they might be limited to only taking 1.
So about everyone in this game, tournament accuracy so far is about 75%, with the exception of Bruce Mallett, who's up around 88, I think, tournament-wide accuracy so far. That's a good shot.
And he gets a little tap, and now sets 2, I think.
Yeah, I think they're lying 2 just. It may not even matter if they are yet.
No, Scotland with pressure on here.
Yeah, the first time we've seen Scotland sort of start and end with putting the pressure on Sweden. They've been chasing a bit all game, making big shots to get out of ends. Maybe this is the end where they apply some of their own pressure.
Yard.
Frederick asking for help to try and drag this down, so both team members now up to sweep. Maybe he just wanted to see her work a little bit, because that's actually pretty good for women.
Scotland still lies 2, but that's a pretty good angle set up for Sweden now.
Even that's good.
Yeah, to change that angle around. Scotland's looking at coming from the outturn side.
They can move it. It will finish enough, as Bruce indicated, to move it a little bit.
Scottish fans looked a little bit more excited than the Swedes did. Maybe they brought some iron brew over.
Young Bruce Mount is actually motioning now to just draw right to the button, right to the pin. I'd actually like to see them try to move that, change the angles just a little bit.
And why is that?
Well, I think that with that rock there, it would be pretty easy for Sweden to suddenly make it really hard for, with one more shot, to make it hard for Scotland to score 2. That the angle with the angle in that red. This is a tough draw to make too. Basically trying to get around a rock in the top 4 foot.
It looks like they're going to hit the red here.
Let's hear what Frederick and Elizabeth say about this setup.
Så ligger vi andra sten, va?
Nu ligger vi andra.
Har vi andra?
Nu har vi andra. De dötte ut den.
So they're saying that it changed so that they have second stone right now.
Om vi går ner och döttar den här nu. Ja. Nu flyttar vi ner den här och flyttar fram våran. Då behöver du bara putta lite grann på nästa.
Samma?
Ja.
So playing the same shot, want to tap it up a little bit, hoping that they'll be able to do it once more.
So they feel like their second shot, oh yeah, they are at the back there.
Yeah. I think they basically want to limit Scotland to scoring 1 here in the 5th end.
Which, with a score 3-2, would certainly be a good result for Sweden.
We're also talking about being a little bit short on time. Both teams are kind of the same. We haven't really seen anybody struggle with time so far.
No. I mean, the game does move along, and you're sort of, but they have had some longer discussions in this game than we've seen in others.
So not really the curl they were looking for, and maybe an opportunity for Scotland to sneak another one in on the pin there.
I think it'd come off their own.
I'll come and help sweep if you're tight again.
I'll come and help sweep if you're tight again. What do you think that will do to a player's mental condition before throwing?
Yeah, that might not be in the sports psychology books. If you're tight again, that might not be something you want to hear. Of course, some teams, brutal honesty works best. Of course, the in-turn is the turn that most of us right-handers will tend to be tight on. See how her release looks on this. Perhaps a little bit soft.
I think
it's better than my
sounds
in-turn.
Happy.
Well, yep.
You sure you want to announce that to the world?
It's pretty obvious to most people if you've seen it. So I'm not really hiding anything.
So needs to find the inside of this yellow and get a little roll in here. Oh, and really, really nice
well
by Gina Atkin.
Sit 2.
Aitken, sorry. My Scottish needs some work as well.
It really does. I I wasn't going to correct you on that, but Greg Drummond was.
Well, corrected it before him.
So Sweden in some trouble here, trying to figure out how to limit the damage to just 2. It's not easy.
No, they're looking to tap up the one that Frederick played first.
I don't see how they make that.
No, they want to be careful not to push back their third shot and actually leave Scotland room for more.
I'm not sure how this shot leaves them second shot. Are you?
No. So we're going to have to see what happens here for Elisabeth Nordahl with her last stone of the 5th end. Scotland has one to go. And maybe this is a little bit hot.
She's backed off it, trailing it, pleading with it. I think this is just going to actually make it easier for Scotland to score 3. I mean, I think they can come to that one even if they move it, they'll still lie 3.
That's no good. If those 2 are in there, we would do that. They're there. Just flat on top of it.
It's a great comment. He said if those 2 weren't there, we could do this, but they're there. This young kid is wise beyond his years.
Are you jealous?
I'm jealous of how well he plays for 18, yeah.
Yeah, they have been showing some real strength, this young Scottish duo. And now it's up to Bruce here to try and score 3 on the Swedes.
This will be a big 3 at this point in the game where we've seen 1-2 from Sweden and then trading single points. Thrown a lot of freezes into pockets, so we should have his pretty good sense of what he needs. Got to work this. Got to go on it. It's close. It might get there. Hard.
And there you go.
Got it.
I think so.
Well done. Well scrubbed. Chased it, scrubbed it hard himself, joined by Gina Aiken, and they got it just the extra inch they needed. The Scottish fans go absolutely crazy with joy. Yeah, they are. Actually, that is. Compared to your homeland there, Sarah, they are really bringing it.
Yeah, the Swedish fans left.
Yeah, they did. They've actually, perhaps they had a game. It was the Swedish senior men's team and had a game. I'm not sure.
I hope that's the case. So 3 ends to go, and now Scotland in the lead. They really have turned this game around. It was looking really difficult for them in the beginning.
Yeah, one of those games where when you're Sweden, it's frustrating because you sort of sense opportunities to score big ends, and the young Scottish team kept taking them away. And all of a sudden, Scotland cracks a 3. And now they're up 5-3 without Hammer playing the 6th end. Bruce Mallett's first rock of the end, first stone of the end on its way. He's had really good touch all game.
Line only.
Except maybe here.
Line only. Line only. Line only.
Seems like if he comes around this guard, though, he should find some good line down to this Swedish shot stone.
It's well played.
And Dean, we have a couple of other games going on. Would you care to tell us what's happening?
I certainly can, Sarah. Over on sheet C, we have the Netherlands versus Latvia, and the Netherlands have opened up a 9-3 lead. They're playing the 6th end with Latvia holding the hammer, down 9-3. On sheet B, we have Slovakia versus Estonia, and Slovakia has opened up a 7-3 lead, scoring 4 in the 5th. They're playing the 6th with Estonia having the hammer. And on sheet A, we have England versus Norway. And England getting a 3 in the 5th end to go ahead 5-4. Young English team playing out of Fenton's Rink in England.
Top 8.
And Bruce Mallett calling for top 8 here rather than play the freeze right to it. I like this call.
Why do you think it's a good call?
Well, as you've noted before, it can be used later, and it even though they don't have last rock here, and they're not, they don't have to worry as much about trying to open up the scoring area. I think top 8 leaves you something to use later. Big line, he said, though. It's pretty close. It's pretty good. Covers the right side of it, I think.
They're looking to come down the same way here and push that all the way down. Of course, what you said, Dean, was that it's very useful for Scotland, so Sweden's just going to try and make it a little bit more unuseful.
Unuseful.
Is that not a word?
I'm calling it a word.
It felt like a word. Useless might be the word. Again, I'm blaming this on being Swedish.
I think that's perfectly acceptable, because I don't know a word for useless in Swedish, so. Pretty good shot.
Yeah, I guess Scotland can still freeze in there, but nice to get that top 8-foot stone moving.
A little of an option with the out turn on the yellow that's pushed to the edge of the 4-foot. And Inoff might be able to move some granite in there and open it up. Might have to throw it pretty hard, but it certainly, that could be a useful stone. And young Gina Aiken here definitely needs to make a good freeze at this point. Top 8 won't really help her much here.
Yep, for line, hard, hard.
Might be that tight in turn that Bruce was talking to her about earlier.
Well, he did say that it was fine because he was going to come help for the sweeping, and here he is.
He's out there helping now, but it looks like she's going to run on that guard. Nah, could be trouble if it rolls too far.
So looking like a tight gap, and Sweden's going to draw the out turn.
Scotland a bit fortunate that that shooter didn't roll over a little bit more and leave Sweden a double to sit 3. Is he going to have a look at it?
It's just going to come in and have down and have a look at the roll to see if it's more beneficial than the draw. So going to hit and roll off of the yellow one that Sweden pushed down to that position with their last stone.
3 stones to play still for Sweden in this end, and 2 stones for Scotland. Sharp yell for sweeping. Close to really good.
Yeah, won't make it to sit 2, but shot stone now a little bit higher. Or is the yellow shot?
Yellow may be shot, but it's lonely.
It is lonely. 4 red ones in the house. And now Scotland's going to attempt that tight gap.
They're going to go through the narrow port that Sweden didn't want to go through. with some barrier weight. My favorite Scottish term in curling.
Yep. Whoa. Whoa.
Will make it by the first one and the second one.
Well, they made that easily enough. I sort of wonder why Fredrik Hallström didn't play it.
I don't know.
Right? I mean, it makes that they made it through there fairly easily, and he didn't really look at it.
No,
It
now
seems to
they're
me
looking
that
at
double was available for him.
yeah. Now they're going to draw the outturn side again here, but Scotland's found that port once. They could do it again and just race that yellow up.
Right.
Lite till.
Draw to the lid for Fredericton Hallström to set 2.
Långt ute.
Linje.
Ingen linje än. Kommer nu. Ja, ja.
We've seen some big finish down this path before.
It's going hard. Looks like he's a little bit short. Just come in for 4th shot. I think this is a big opportunity here for Scotland. If Bruce Mount goes through that hole, can sit 1-2 with his shooter right there and make it tough for Sweden to score. Although he's made some big shots so far to bail his team out when they were in trouble. This is a big shot to apply some real pressure. Ought to be 18 and unfazed. When I played in the Continental Cup in mixed doubles, I was as nervous as I've ever been curling. This kid looks like he is not.
Yep,
Give it a
Bruce
little-
Mouat looking to come through the port here and race the yellow.
Oh, a little positive with that release. You could just see it. Just see him try to feed it out there, but he might have slid a little tight and tried to feed it out to the broom a little more than he should have.
Det är så tunn träff som möjligt på den. Lite plussad då.
Yep, so Sweden's going to go for the double. That could give them a huge score of 4.
Slash double over the top, I guess.
Yep. Need to make this though. It could be a steal of 2 if she hits it on the nose.
Yeah, if she ever comes up too much, and it will go dead onto that red. Have you seen Elizabeth make a few of these?
Well, yeah, I definitely don't think she's afraid to throw them. And I think it also helps the fact that Fredrik is really determined. He's just putting the broom down and says, hit it right here. So last shot of the 6th then, slash double for Sweden and an opportunity to score 4.
Fredrik come out to sweep. Call is yes, sweep. You definitely want to hold this on the high side. Oh, they're close. Oh, bit unlucky. I guess a little more weight there might have helped. A bit too thin.
So Sweden scores 1 and they're trailing by 1 point after 6 ends. 2 more ends to go. Would you say it's a bit more, a bit better to be trailing by 1 and needing to steal in mixed doubles than in regular curling?
Oh, definitely. I think steals are certainly a more viable option in mixed doubles curling than they are in traditional curling, especially at higher levels. So I think at the highest levels of mixed doubles play versus the highest levels of traditional curling, a steal is definitely something that can happen more. I don't know if we have statistics on how many teams are using the throwing order that the Scottish team is using, the male player in 1 and 5 and the female player 2, 3, 4. We haven't seen that yet, have we?
No, I don't think so.
They've stuck with it the whole game here.
Yeah, it seems to be working for them.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it might be that, you know, Bruce Bruce Mowat is comfortable skipping and skips his junior team, which would make sense.
Yeah, and Gina is she's just lobbing in them there, creating the angles that she can, and then he makes the final shot, so it's working good for them. And I think earlier today we did see Hungary being really efficient when Russia needed to steal on them. They actually started with a tick and then a peel.
Yeah, that's interesting. In the morning draw, we saw Hungary and Russia tied 5-5 playing the 8th, and you're absolutely right. Hungary played a tick on their first and played it more like we might see in traditional curling. Played a tick and then played a peel later. Eventually had to come into the forfeit area, but left themselves with a fairly straightforward shot for their last to score 1. Also in the morning draw, just to bring people up to speed a little bit, we saw the world champion Swiss beat Canada. They actually scored 11 unanswered points. But even then, and this is maybe says something about mixed doubles play, it was 11-5 playing the 7th, and Canada had a fairly makeable double to lie 6 and make Swiss face 6. Just missed it. Didn't curl up enough, but really no lead is safe, I don't think, in mixed doubles play. Well, maybe some lead is safe. If you're up 8, playing the last, you're in good shape.
Of course,
or
that's
6.
because you only have 6 stones.
Exactly.
And this is a lonely one. Frederick just stopping halfway down, not touching it. Will sit in front of the tee line, but since it's open, Scotland can rub off of that one and come into the center.
It's wide open. They could, I don't know what sort of weight they're throwing here. Judging from the brim's not big weight, judging by the ice. Don't need big weight here.
Yep. Yeah. Hard. Whoa. Whoa. Close. Really close. Close. Whoa, 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 whoa.
Just got to finish up a little bit. Well done.
Yeah, makes a nice one, and now it sits shot stone and third shot, but all lined up. It's not looking very easy for Sweden, who wants to steal.
Yeah, that's a good grouping for Scotland right now.
Wondering if they could maybe play the outturn and try and tap that down. Stone just played by Gina.
I was going to say, I think I heard Frederick ask for a little more ice in Swedish.
Yes.
And I also think that outturn is available, and I like the look of Frederick Hallström's outturn more than his inturn. So I'm going to say that for all those reasons, that might have been good, but he's going to make this, well, leaving Scotland with another freeze on their own.
And not the best angles for Sweden there. Just kind of directs away from everything. And just like Bruce said, top 8 is fine. It's difficult for Sweden to tap their own in. So Gina Aitken started curling in 2000. That means Frederick Hallström had been curling for 25 years when she started.
I'm sure he'll appreciate you noting that, Sarah. Schrock has some curling and slowing down to do.
And now maybe the opportunity that Sweden was looking for.
I think if they hit that on the nose with big weight, would be leave them pretty well situated. I think even if they slash it out of there.
They're just going to come down and tap it on the nose though.
course, they do need to probably steal here. I think it would be interesting to see if we have another tie game like Russia-Hungary, 5-5, and see how Scotland elects to play the last end if they were tied with hammer.
Of course, if they were to blast, it means maybe some more pressure on Scotland for their last stone.
Yeah, if they were suddenly facing a bigger number. It's a little wide.
Kommer upp nästan chapp eller?
Starting to finish, trying. Not going to get to nose though.
No, Scotland still with shot stone here.
Just
And the inside of this is still available.
Bruce Mallett suggesting just T-line weight. Just chop off that one. Gina Aiken seemed to think she was suggesting hack. I think you might want to throw a little more than just T here. Maybe back 4. Gina's father is their coach.
And that's also her sister alongside on the bench.
A lot of family vacations here at the mixed doubles. There's the Neelmans from the Netherlands or the Aikens from Scotland.
Would you call it a holiday though? It's a world championship. Hard work.
Well, it depends what you like in a holiday, right?
I guess you're right.
I don't really like sitting around on a beach that much, so I can't imagine a better holiday actually than to be curling in a world championship. Oh, maybe I could, but.
So now how will Sweden steal?
Well, it looks like
Timeout. So we're going to see Per Norén come on the ice. Frederick was saying it was really good to have a coach and one who's played mixed doubles before. They felt like they got a lot of really good input from him. Of course, Per Norén was in the team that won silver last year's World Mixed Double Championship in Erzurum, Turkey.
making his way down the sideboards here to just talk this over. We'll listen in and let Sarah tell us exactly what they say.
Jag tror att om man slår här så har vi skotten då, va? Jag tror inte han kommer upp i insida på den. Han gör väl i och för sig det, men han kan inte ha chapp kanske. Ja, men han måste flytta den här för att... Ja. Att... Här, ja. Ja. Men de får ju aldrig bort vad den övre, så de kan ju bara få en på den stenen. Men då är frågan, vart ska vi lägga den nu? Om du mäter dubben på dem, den, då kommer vi peta ut egen nästan. Ja. Ja, risken är att om vi slår här, rullar hit och petar ut, så vi ligger så här, då har ni den här, slå den i hålet. Vi skulle kunna skava in en sten hit. Ja, kan jag lägga en sten här också.
Bra.
Ja.
På det här hållet.
Ja. Inte gärna.
So are they all on the same page, Sarah?
Yes, well, I couldn't really hear Per Norén because he's not wearing a microphone. He is flirting with the camera, though, so that might mean they are on the same page.
He's famous for that, is he not, in Sweden, for flirting with the camera?
Is he?
I'm just guessing. I'm just, you know, musing about that. Perhaps he is.
Well, he will be from now on. They are going to play the draw in here. I think that they are actually sitting shot. It's a bit difficult to see from our angle.
I think they are lying one, yes.
So just going to draw another one in here. They don't really want to hit and roll because it'll give Scotland a chance to get rid of their shot stone there. And they feel like if Scotland hits the two red on the side, then it's only for one.
Måste curla massvis.
So this really needs to curl.
Ja.
Like to get the inside of the top yellow.
Riktigt! Kom igen!
Would like to touch it a little bit. No.
A late sweeping call, hoping to get that little chop off the yellow on the left side of the forefoot up high when he sensed it was heavy.
And they would have been sitting too if they could have just gotten that little rub.
Could do that. Do you like that?
Yeah. They're only 9-1, and if they end up losing a 1, it's not the end of the world.
Peel.
So Bruce Mallett is going to play the in-off on his own to try to score 2. I like this call. I think that it's half a rock. It certainly does it. It's not a particularly hard shot. And as Gina Aiken pointed out, if he doesn't make it, they only give up 1, and they go to the 8th with the hammer in a tie game. Doesn't have to move that red very far. It's just barely shot, I think. Doesn't like it. Looked like it might have been a little bit of in-out action on it. Oh, almost got it the
still
difficult
enough to
way.
get 1?
Almost got it the hard way.
It's 1 red, but
They probably could have swept it, hit a little higher, but nobody was there.
As always, the frustration of mixed doubles curling.
Well, I think what happened was, you know, young Bruce Mallett does chase most of his stones, but I think he so didn't like the way he threw it that he backed off it. So it looks to me like red, but we'll see here. He it looked like he threw that a little in-out action on the release, and with the big weight, it never came up. Comes the official with the measure. Cut to the overhead if we had it. There we go. I don't think you got that. Yeah, I think they got to look at that again. I hope they do. There's the yellow. 2.5, they're saying on the yellow. It's red. It's red. It's a good thing they looked at it again. Initial indication was not red. So anyways, it's red, 1 red. A tie game as we head to the 8th end. Do you think we'll see what we saw in Hungary, Russia, Sarah?
I hope so. It'd be interesting to see how it works out. Let's see if Scotland gets defensive.
See if they talk about it. They're having the huddle before the last end. Does your team huddle between ends, Sarah?
Yes, we do.
Every end?
Yeah. We just basically like to stay close to each other. We're very friendly. What about your team?
We don't like each other. We don't like each other that much, so we tend not to huddle as much. I think it's important. I think you do what works for your team. Mixed doubles here, I think it certainly could help. I'm not a fan of huddling every end, actually, but I think if it works for your team, you go with it. On the other sheets, sheet C, we've got Netherlands versus Latvia. Netherlands opened up a 10-3 lead on Latvia, playing 7. And on sheet B, we've got Slovakia against Estonia. And Estonia has come back here to take an 8-7 lead. They're playing the 8th end. Slovakia has the hammer. And on sheet A, we've got England against Norway. And Norway has come back to take a 9-5 lead after being down 5-4 earlier. So it's 9-5 Norway playing the 8th. England has the hammer.
And a bit of a tough start for Sweden. They really need to steal this game, and Elizabeth has not really made her first freeze.
But we're not going to see the tick, I don't think. I don't think they're playing the tick or the wiggle.
No, not moving the guard here, just coming down with another freeze. I think the tick is probably a very good option, since the center guard is basically the most useful stone for Sweden in this case. They need to steal the end, so by moving that away, it would make it really difficult for them.
Certainly a good freeze, though. There's an example of sometimes execution might trump strategy. Make the freeze perfect. I would like to see the tick played, though, just because I'm curious as much as anything. See how it plays out.
Yeah, Sweden gonna come down and freeze onto this as well. And you never know, maybe with a couple of tap-ups.
Yeah, well, they still have time to move the rocks in the forefoot and end up. They only need one, of course. Been a well-played game for mixed doubles curling. In mixed doubles curling, a lot of good shot making, a lot of clutch shot making.
Yeah, well, Sweden, Scotland, and curling normally makes for a pretty good matchup.
A lot of connections between Sweden and Scotland in curling, I've noticed too. If we think of the Scottish program, is Soren Gran and James Dryberg, another Scottish, former Scottish curler, now lives in Sweden, right? Married a Swedish woman.
Well, he's coaching Denmark.
Yeah, he coaches Denmark, but he lives in Sweden, right?
Yep.
Married a Swede. Explain that for me, Sarah. Why the connections between Scotland and Sweden?
Well, we're all, friendly people that like curling, and we're pretty close together, so why not?
There you go.
Although the Scots are not looking too friendly against the Swedes here. Frederick really not making that shot, so Gina Atkin gonna really close down the forefoot area and the lid here down the center line.
Gina Aiken. We'll go with Gina Aiken.
Yes, of course.
Yep.
So I'm just excited because I screwed up Murrayfield so much. So I get to correct you on something.
Whoa. No.
Well, feel free to correct me all you want.
Well, they could have peeled here, right? Peel out the center guard.
They really could have.
And then you leave yourself something really pretty easy on your last, probably. I mean, they're looking really good here. I can't dispute that. But, I mean, if they just peeled that red guard, it's an exchange of shots to score your one. And
Om du pangar på här, Fredrik, då får du inte...
Ja, då sitter den sitter bara där.
Okej. Sådär.
Ja, jag tror vi ska bara spela en typ
And I do think now, if, there's two shots probably for Sweden to move these enough to be able to have to be shot, but they definitely can still move these around to the behind the tee line and get something in there that might be tough to move. Frederick doesn't look like he likes it in the hack, though,
Chapp är
Sarah.
ganska bra.
I just want to get to nose here. Move some things around. They would really love to be able to play a good freeze later on.
It looks to me as though he can get to nose. Going hard on. He doesn't want to make the peel himself. By the guard.
Just says that, well, it didn't really help us.
He didn't like it in the hack. He didn't like what he faced. And the young Scottish team's going to call a timeout. Talk to Dad.
So with your well-developed Scottish accent, you can translate this for us then.
I'll listen in this time.
This is our first stop. So we set 3. Clear the guard.
So if
They
you
have
clear
to
the
make the
guard, he
move.
has to make a move, and you've got to keep it. It's got to be clear.
Then it gets pretty risky because if they just nose that, then they're gonna have a nest. Draw to here. I think leaving the guard actually is good. Yeah, leaving it just. Because you end up doing that, they just do that. That's gone. That's there. They've just got a nest.
But we have that stone.
I know, but then
He's going to do that anyway, whatever you do.
So do we cover that?
I think we
Because
sit
if you
here.
can't- But if you can't get shot, if you do that,
Yeah. Okay. So that.
yeah.
He has
There's
this.
no point in doing that.
He has that.
You can't get shot.
Yes, he
Doesn't
can.
count.
No, I'm liking this. Because even if he does that, then we have this.
Yeah, but he's just going to do this. This is the same as clearing the guard. Because he's going to hit that anyway.
It's a tough shot. It's still half around the guard. That just makes it even harder. I like, if they put it there, then he's just going to do that all day. And if he gets that, then
Okay, you want to go here?
yeah. Watch our time.
Perhaps not the most conclusive of timeouts. I would suggest that I agree with Bruce and that the shot to the button to sit one would be available for Sweden if they don't play this now. They did discuss the peel when their coach first came out. Shot I don't mind either, but they did suggest, Bruce's point was that if they make the peel, then Scotland runs the one in the top 4 onto theirs. They still wouldn't be shot, I don't think, though. But then they could have a shot on their last to make things awfully tough for Scotland. Three shots discussed there, and they're electing to play the freeze, beat Sweden to this freeze into the pocket.
Well, I think if you want to peel the guard, then maybe they should have just done that sooner. Now they're into the drawing game, and you might as well just keep closing this off for Sweden.
That is a good point. I think the call was to, if they peeled the guard a little bit earlier. Or one shot earlier.
Spinn inte den upp då.
Both teams with 2 shots to play.
And Sweden need to figure out a way to have shot stone before Scotland place their last.
Right now they're not talking, they're just staring.
I think they are thinking rather than staring, Dean.
Det blir inte bra, men alternativet är bara att dra dit den och se om man kan pröva putta den på nästa.
Ja, men Sven då?
Jag
So
tror liksom inte jag kommer på insidan för garden är vägen.
Frederick would like to
Spela en fart som att det går att komma på insidan.
hit
och
this
komma
really
till
hard on
ytan.
the inside and then kind of bounce to the right, but he thinks that there's not enough room, so thinking maybe draw one in and hope to be able to
Då kan vi faktiskt skjuta ner den till skott.
bump it in some way with their next. So just going to draw us the call, and then they would like to tap it up with their next one.
Lite till.
Both teams still, I think, with plenty of time, but Sweden did 3 minutes and Scotland at 2 minutes and 27 seconds. So they're
Plenty enough time to play 2 stones, right?
right. Enough time as long as there's not too much discussion. That was a curious look as he let it go.
Slide, det är bara att ta bort den.
Oh, the red lighted
Oh.
it. A red light. First one we've seen.
Red.
That is not a good
Not
time
the good
to
time
hug
for
your
that.
stone.
Åh fy fan. Är det möjligt ens?
I'm not going to translate that.
I think I can.
And there you see the replay. Tough for Sweden now. And it doesn't actually look like he's hogged it.
No, at all. I would say that didn't even look close to me. That's
Tough
unfortunate.
luck for the Swedes. Look at this.
Let's look
He
closely.
lets go there.
And that is really an unfortunate break. Just as I was praising the sensor handles earlier, that does not look to me like that was a hog stone.
Green lights for Gina Aitken on her last.
Top 4. Good line.
That's a really tough break for Sweden there. They were still in a mess of trouble, but I really don't see how they're going to. I don't see any way for them to sit one after this next shot.
Det enda du kan göra är att smälla på den här, försöka träffa den här allt vad du kan. Allt så hårt du kan. Det är det enda du har. Jag tror inte du hjälper, men det kan bli att det kan bli någon spin här, att den spinner iväg lite.
Frederick just said the only thing you have is to hit what you can see of that red, well, as hard as you possibly can, and it's probably not even going to help you. That's what he said.
And I tend to agree with that. I mean, I don't see how you can move the red that's fully in the, almost fully in the button far enough.
Did you mean the yellow fully?
The yellow,
in the button?
sorry, yes.
Okay, that makes sense.
Good. Shouldn't really mix up red and yellow. It's fairly straightforward, but I just did. We'll see what happens, but I would. I don't think this is there.
Oh, gonna try it though. To still have a chance to be in the game.
It's on its way. Trying about as hard as seen her throw one. And there it is. Well, they were in a heap of trouble the whole end anyways, but sort of unfortunate to see them get a red light that didn't look like it should have been a red light. But I'm sure they'll check out that handle and see what's up with it. I think Scotland was well in control of that end nonetheless. With that, Scotland hanging tough early in the game when they faced a lot of pressure situations, hanging tough and then cracking a big 3 in the 5th end, and then icing it with some good play in the final few ends. They're excited about it. Young Scottish team, they played well, and walk away from this with a nice victory to remain undefeated in Group C. There you see the score 8-5. They scored 3 in the final end. They just needed 1. They got 3. And Bruce Mowat, the ice maker, brings another rock, brings the extra rock down. Always helpful when you're a nice technician. We'll have an interview with the Scottish team and highlights coming up. So look at highlights from the 5th through 8th end. Big 5th end here for Scotland. They scored 3. Bruce Mowat had to make this draw for 3. Scrubbed it hard, joined by Gina Aitken. They get it there by about an inch. Great draw for 3 here. After a well-played end by Scotland, they scored the 3. That was the big turning point in the game. First 3-ender we saw. In the 6th end, Sweden takes 1. trying the slash double for a bundle. Hit it a little too thin. Scored just 1 in the 7th end. Score 5-4 for Scotland. Bruce Mallett trying to run that in. Hits it on the high side. After a measure, it was 1 for Sweden, so we went to the 8th end. Tied 5-5, Scotland with the hammer.
Ours better. Red.
There's the measure we saw in the 7th end. In the 8th end, all that was left for Elizabeth Nordahl was this desperation shot. Really probably wasn't there. Score 3 for Scotland, handshakes. And Scotland remains unbeaten in Group C. Sweden goes to 2-1. Got an interview coming up with the Scottish team in just a few minutes.
Trouble in the beginning. How did you manage to turn the game around?
Well, we thought at the 4th end that we were only 1 down and we didn't have a very good start, so we knew that 1 down's not that bad, and if we just come out shooting well, then we can definitely come back from that.
And you did. You said
Yeah.
You never have the classic like hitting everything in sight because you obviously you can't. There's no way they can do that. So
It's good the way that the blank end, that if you blank the end, then the hammer has to swap. So even putting that into the real game would be good.
so. Thank you very much and good luck with the rest of your week.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.